Hello everybody, Jamie the Board Game Man, and today we're looking at a dice drafting set collection game from the year 2018. It is called Atlandice by Ludonaute Games. It's a 2 to 4 player game, ages 8 and up, takes about 40 or so minutes to play. In this game, what you're doing is you're racing against the clock to try to get all the it's kind of like an area control where you're trying to get as many resources from an area. That way you get points for that. You get more points if you're in first place, if you have the most of that area. And it'll make a little more sense once I get downstairs, which we're going to do right now. We're going to head on down to the gaming table, where I'm going to show you how to play Atlandice. Here we are at Atlandice. Let's take a look. Okay, so here are the components of the game. As you can see here, we have like a clock you can see in the middle. You're going to put that in the middle. You also have these panels here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you'll have a sixth one. There's no 6 on there. That acts as the black market. You're going to have 3 of each of these. So as soon as all these get depleted, then you have a second one underneath, and then you have a third one underneath. All right. You also have 7 blue dice that the game comes with. You also have all of your resources that you would place on top. You have gems, books, provisions, tools, and weapons. You also have these one point markers here. You also have the first player coin, and then you also have this cool little submarine right here. All right, and then you have this instruction booklet right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over real quick the goal of the game, what you're trying to do in this game. I'm going to read it right straight from the instruction booklet because I kind of like the way they have this here. Visit Atlantis areas using the open gates. Use the infrastructures of the city to your advantage in order to get as many resources as you can. Keep an eye on the districts emptying themselves of the resources and on the clock as it shows how much time is left before the end of the game. Earn prestige by collecting more resources than your opponents at the key moments of the game and at the end. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and show you how this works. What you're going to do, you're going to place all of each resource on the board. Now you'll see all these little icons here, so it does show you, you don't have to remember which resource goes on what part. So you see here we have the little jewel here, so it tells you that's where you put the gems. You got the little book here, you got the provisions and so on, so that kind of tells you which one to put on there, okay? You will put 3 of each on the black market. So you see I have 3 of each on the black market. And depending on how many players you have in the game, if you have 2 to 3 players, you will put 7 of each resource out here. And if you have all 4 players, because it is a 2 to 4 player game, you'll have all 9 out there. Now, we're going to go ahead and do like a 3 player here. So I'm going to go ahead and take off 2 of each here. That way we show a 3 player game, because I don't want to put too many players out there. And we'll take 2 books from here. Okay, there we go. So now we're set up for a 3 player game. Now also with the dice, it's similar to Sagrada. You're going to have the number of players times 2 plus 1. Okay? So at the end of your turn, each player is going to have 2 dice they're going to use, and then that last one will determine how many ticks this clock goes, which I'll go over in a minute. So in this game, what we're going to do, since we have 3 players, okay, no 6, we're going to have 7 dice. So there's 7 dice right there. We're going to take 2 of them away because 9 is the most you'll use. I'm going to put that in the box. Okay. So we're going to place a submarine in one of these spots, which I'll go over what that submarine means. And like I said, we're going to do a 3 player game. I'm going to be the first player marker. So I'm going to be the first player to do this. I forgot to bring my dice holder down here, my dice roller. So I'm going to go ahead and use this box to roll the dice. So I'm the first player. I'm going to go ahead and roll these dice. Okay. And I'm going to place these dice next to the numbers that I roll. Okay. All right. So you see here I have 6, which means that is a black market. I've got a 3, so I'm going to place 3 here. 1 goes here, 5 goes here, 4 will go here. Wow, I almost did all the numbers there. That's pretty cool. I think I rolled them all, but actually I did roll them all. Wow, that's a crazy roll. All right, so me as first player, I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these die, and whatever die I choose, I'm going to pick up one of those resources. If I pick up a resource that has a submarine next to it, I get 2 of those resources. That's what that submarine means. Okay, so let's go ahead and say, all right, I'm going to go ahead and pick up as my first thing here. I'm going to go ahead and pick up a sword over here, okay, which is the blacksmith area. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this 5. I'm going to place that in front of me, all right. I'm going to go ahead and pick up one of these resources. So I pick up a sword, it's in front of me now. Now, each one of these areas has a special thing you're going to do while you are playing the game here. So as soon as I picked up that 5, I'm going to look over, and these icons are in the book. And for a while, you're going to have to look in the book to find out, because the icons are not really user-friendly. So I'm on 5, so I'm going to look under 5 here, and I'm going to look to see which one I'm looking at. And it looks like it's going to be this one here. It says, roll the die you've just chosen. If you get a 6, you take 1 resource from the black market. So with the die that I picked up, if I roll a 6, I get to pick up any one of these items from the black market. Nope, didn't do it. So a 4. So that ends my turn, okay? And then it goes on to the second player. Second player is going to go ahead and choose one of these die to see which one they want to do. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and choose 1 over here. So this player chose the 1, okay, the second player, and they pick up a gem. Now they're going to look and see what this icon means. So we're going to go to the 1, the jewelers, and we're going to take a look and see which one it is. This one here. You roll the die you've just chosen. If you get a 6, you roll it again and visit the area corresponding to the new result, applying the effect of the new area. 6. Wow, I actually did. I'm going to roll it again, and I'm going to visit the area corresponding to the new result and applying the effect of the new area. So now, I'll go ahead and roll. It's a 4. So a 4 here. And the effect here is I get to move the submarine wherever I'd like to move. That's what that means. So let's just say I want to move the submarine over to, I don't want anybody else getting 2, so I'm going to move it over to 1. Because now there's no die there, no one can get that. So I don't want to put it somewhere where someone can get 2 resources at. So that's what I would want to do. So I moved the submarine over there. Okay, so now, let's see here. Okay, let's see here. So now what we're going to do is the third player is going to go ahead and choose a die to see which die he wants to use. And this player, let's see he wants to take the 3. So he takes the 3, he's going to take one of these provisions. Okay, now he's going to look to see what this means under 3. So under 3, the ends, it shows, let's see, right here. Change the value of any die and place it next to the related area. So, what I do in this one is I'm going to take any one of these die and change it to another area. So let's see, I want to do, let's see, so I can change this 4, and maybe I want to say I want to put it over as 3. So what I can do is I can change this to a 3 and move it over here. Okay, and now it's back to my turn. I'm going to take my second die, and let's just say I want a provision. I'm going to go ahead and take this. Okay, I'm going to take a provision. And the same thing happens. I'm going to take one of these die, and I'm going to place it somewhere else. Let's just say I'm going to take this 6, and I'm going to place it over here in the 4. Okay, and that's what happens there. See, you get to know the icons once you do it a couple times. Okay, so now it is player 2's turn. Player 2 says, okay, I want to go ahead and grab a book from the library. So he grabs a book. Now he's going to read what this means. It says second, so let's find out what that means. So we're going to go over to the 2. It says, if the die you have just taken is the second die you take during this round, take 1 extra resource from the library. Well, guess what? That is my second die that I've taken. Because this was actually his. So, I get to take an extra book. So that was good on my part, because that was my second die. Now, if that was my first die, obviously I would not get that. But since it was my second one, I get another one. Okay? Those are the little things you got to pay attention to while you're playing the game. Because there's a little extra resources you can get if you pay attention. So now we got player 3. He's got 2 left. 5 or a 4. Which one does he want to go with? He decides he wants to go with a 5. Okay? He takes the 5. He's going to take this 1 resource, which is a sword. Or weapons, so to speak. And now we're going to look over here and find out what that means. So we're going to go over to 5. And we have this one here. Roll the die you've just chosen. If you get a 6, take 1 resource from the black market. So I'm going to take that 5 I just took. 4. Okay, so if I would have rolled a 6, I would have taken any one of these from the black market. I failed to do so. Now, the round is over. Everyone has 2 dice. All right. Excuse me. So 4 is the last one that's remaining. the die that's remaining last, you're going to look here on the right-hand side, and you can see they're all different. Okay, and in this case, they're all the same. You're going to move the clock 3 spaces. That's what shows here, 3. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Now that is still empty. Okay, so that nothing happens during this round. Now, from here on out, something's going to happen. And let's go over that real quick. Let's go ahead and go over the clock. But that's kind of how the round works. You're going to each take 2 dice. You're going to go ahead and take the 1 resource from that area, unless it's in front of the submarine, then you get 2. And then you're going to do the little special roll or whatever it might be that it tells you to do. And then your turn is over. It goes to the next person until everyone gets 2 dice. And then the last one that's remaining, you're going to move the clock that many spaces. And then you're going to do what it says here. Now let's just say that's at the end of that one. You know what? Let's do one more round. Let's go ahead and do one more round. That way I can kind of show you what happens when the clock moves. Okay? So I'm going to take all these dice. The first player marker goes over to player 2. Okay, everyone has their little resources in front of them. And now player 2 will roll the dice. So we have a couple black markets here. We've got a 2, a 1, we've got another 1, we've got a 5, and we've got a 3. All right, so this time no one can choose anything from the 4 area because 4 was not rolled. That is closed off, unless you get one of those where you change the die and move it. Then you can. Okay, so this player over here is player 2. Let's see what player 2 wants to do. Which one does he want to choose? He's going to go ahead and choose. Let's see, what does he want to do here? You know what? I must have forgot to pick up a resource because oh no, I have 3 here. That's right. Let's see. I'm going to go with. Let's see. I'm going to go with a gem. So I'm going to take the 1. Okay. Obviously, I'm going to get 2 of these because the submarine is there. So I'm going to take 2 gems in my possession. And now I'm going to look to see what that means again. Okay, so 1 with the 6. Let's see, yeah, 1 with the 6 means... Here it is. Roll the die you've just chosen. If you get a 6, roll it again and visit the area corresponding to your result. Okay, so we did that before. Let's go ahead and roll. It's a 3. So I don't get to do that. My turn is over, and it goes over to player 3. Player 3 decides, you know what, I'm going to go to the black market. I'm going to go ahead and choose a, let's see here, a provision. So he goes ahead and chooses a provision, okay? Now when you pick something from the black market, there is no special deal you do. Okay, that's it. That's all you get. You don't get any kind of special roll or anything like that. As you can see here, there's nothing there. Okay, so that's what he did. So he went in and took that. Now it goes over to me now, and I decide, okay, I'm going to go ahead and go and do. I'm going to go ahead and take another provision. So I take the 3. I'm going to take a provision here, and then I'm going to go ahead and see what this means. I think that's the one that moves the die. 3, I'm going to move the die, yeah, change the value of any die and place it into the related area. So let's just say I want to move this 5 and move it over here to 4. Okay, and that's my turn, okay? And that would be it there, okay? Now it goes over to player 1, the first player. He decides he wants to get a couple more jewels. He's going to go all in on these jewels. So he goes ahead and picks 2 jewels because that submarine is still there. Okay, and now he's going to roll that die again to see if he gets that 6. And he does not. So that his turn is now over. Goes over to this player. He's got 3 dice to choose from. He's going to say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take, no one has any of these, so I'm going to go ahead and take one of these. So he takes the 4. Okay, going to grab one of these. Now he gets to move the submarine wherever he wants to move to. He's going to go ahead and move it over to the 5. Okay, and then that turn is over. All right, so now I have one last turn to do. I get to choose between the 6 here, the black market, or the 2. I'm going to go ahead and choose. Let's use the black market over here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the black market, and I'll get another sword. Okay, so we got the sword, and now the round is over. So now we're going to look at 2, okay? And 2 allows me to do 3 turns of the clock. So I'm going to do 3 turns once again. 1, 2, 3. Now at this point, I'll go ahead and go over what these things do in the clock. The first one here, you see a sword. So once it lands on the sword, okay, everyone's going to look to see how many swords each player has. If you have the most swords, you get 1 point. Okay. If there's any ties, let's just say me and this person both had the same amount, then both players would get 1 point. Okay, you get one of these markers here, and you place one in front of you. Okay, so that's how that works. Same with this. This is the provision. Same deal. If it lands on that, everyone's going to look to see how many provisions they have. Whoever has the most would get 1 point. Any ties, you get 1 point as well. This one here, which is what we typically landed on here. Now, same with the book. You got the library here. All right, so same with the book, and same with the gray square with this. So those are self-explanatory. Whoever has the most gets 1 point. When you land on this one with the 2 X's, what this means here is you can turn in any 2 resources, place them back on the board, and you get 1 point for every 2 you place back on the board. And you can do this as many times as you want. So if I wanted to say, you know what, I don't need these 2 provisions after all. I can turn these 2 back in, place them up here, and I would trade them in for 1 point. So you never know down the road if you need some points. Well, if it lands on there, then you know, hey, I need some points here. That's one way to do it. If it lands on there, I can do that. And if I want to do it again, I can do that again and get another point. For every 2 you put back, you get 1 point. That's how that works. Here, in this little square area here, this means whoever has the most resources total. So if you have the most resources total, you get 1 point. All right. Now what happens, and so that's pretty much how the clock works. Obviously it ends once you get to these little wavy lines here. Once you get to the wavy lines, you're going to finish that round, and then you start counting up your points. Now let's go over when you complete one of these areas. So I'll go ahead and go with the jewels because there's only 2 left over there. So let's just say, let's go ahead and play one last thing here. See if I can deplete that. That way I can show you how that works. So we're going to go ahead and we got a 6, we got a 3, we got a 2. Okay, I'm going to change that to a 1 just so I can show you how to deplete that. 5 and 3. I'm also going to pretend that this submarine's here because I want to be able to take 2 of those from there. Okay. So it would be this player over here would now be the first player. Now let's just say the first player decided I want to go after that 1. Okay. He goes after that 1. Okay. He would get these last 2 because the submarine's there. He takes these 2, and now it's depleted. So now what's going to happen is he's going to go ahead and do his little thing here. He's going to roll to see if he had a 6. Didn't get a 6. Okay, he failed to do that little special power. Now what happens is everyone's going to look to see how many jewels they have, and whoever has the most jewels will get, not 1, but 3 points. So once it depletes, that's it. You get the 3 points. This player's going to place this right in front of him or her. Okay. And then you're going to look at the second place to see who has the second most. Now you can see I have 2, that player has 2, so each player would get 1 point each. This player would get 1, this player would get 1, because we split them. Now what happens is, all those jewels will go back onto that space. These will be taken away from me, and this has sunk 1 floor. So now we're on the 2nd floor here. All these jewels get put back in place on number 1. If any of these jewels were taken from the black market, okay, these would be replenished back to 3. So you wouldn't put this here because there's only 2 over there, 3. Now when you do the clock here, you do not put them back. You keep them in your possession. But once this area depletes, that's when you put everything back on there. Hope that makes sense. You notice when I did the clock, all we did was when we did, like I said, if we did the library, whoever has the most points, okay, then you get the points, but everything stays in there. The only time you put everything back in is when you're replenishing this area here. All right. Now, if there is a tie for first place, say that this person had 3 jewels, I had 3 jewels, okay? And let's just say, this got moved over here, this player had 2. So let's just say that. If there is a tie for first, one of the players would get the 3, the other player would get 3 from here, all right? But the second place would not get anything. Vice versa, okay? Say that there is, so you want to make sure that if there's a tie for first, then there is no second place. So that's the biggest thing, okay? That's the one thing you want to remember. Of course, if there's a tie for second, then that's fine. Everyone gets the same amount of points. But if there is a tie for first, there is no second place. That's it. So if we were to tie, he get 3, I get 3, and that player wouldn't get anything for those 2. Okay? All right. So I'm going to put these all back in there. This will go back over here. Some of these things, will actually tell you. See, now we have only one clock move of the clock. And then we have a different special ability here too. Okay, like this one here, which is an interesting one. 1, which means roll the die you've just chosen. If you get a 1, 3, or 5, you take 1 more resource from the jeweler. So that's another way you can get 2 from there if you roll a 1, 3, or 5. And if the 1 is the last one that's lasted, then you only turn it 1 notch. Just so happened this time around, all of them had 3. Because you don't need to, it doesn't matter which order these are in, you can put them in any order you want. Any 3 of those on the top, okay? Now, one last piece of information. That say that all these jewels got depleted, and this was the very last section, okay? Once this section goes away and the person is rewarded 3 points, once this is depleted, all of that resource are taken out of the game. So at that point, all the jewels out of the black market will be taken completely out of the game. And then from here on out, anytime a 1 is rolled, it will automatically be turned into a 6 and be counted towards the black market. And that is how the game works, really. You're going to continue on, okay? Until, like I said, until this clock gets to the wavy lines. Once it gets to the wavy lines, you're going to go ahead and count all of these 3 tiles, and you're also going to count all your 1 tiles, and then whoever has the most points wins the game. And that, my friends, is Atlandice. So let's go ahead and head up to the game room, and I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, so my final thoughts of Atlandice. I like this game. It's a cool little game. There's quite a bit of strategy involved if you really pay attention to, maybe where the submarine is, to paying attention to the clock. Because there might be, maybe I have the most gems, and I see that, okay, if I leave that 1 final die and it has 2 ticks on the clock, that's going to land on the gems. I'm going to get myself a point for that because I'm looking around. I know I have the most gems. So it's something you want to pay attention to, especially when it gets down to it, when you're going to say, okay, if I grab this one, what's going to happen if I leave that die? Okay, it's going to move to that spot. Okay, who has the most of that? Who's going to benefit the most out of that? I don't want the first place player to get a free point because I chose the wrong die. Now, you never know in this game, and that's what I like about it. I like the black market. You have 3 of each. Anything goes in the black market. You also, hopefully you can guarantee, hopefully you can try to, if you roll a 1, 3, or 5, 2, 4, or 6, or just need 5 or 6 to get this, or I mean, sometimes you got a little luck at the die as well, because you might get an extra resource out of that if you roll a certain thing on the die. So it's very different. I like the game. I like that, as a round finishes, you might sink an area, and then it's down to 2, and of course, if all of them disappear, then all of that resource depletes. It's completely out of the game. So every time you roll that die that they ran out of, it goes automatically to the black market. And the black market turns into a little more important that you need. But I think that one of the things is trying to get the most of an area that okay, there's 2 gems left. I have the most. I want to try to hurry up and snag those gems. That way I get those 3 points. That way maybe no one else might be able to put because remember you do have some of those where it tells you to put 1 resource on another one. They might try to, okay, well, you have the most gems. There's only 1 left on there. We better start putting some more of these other resources on that spot, so it takes me a little longer to get those 3 points. So there's a lot of things you pay attention to on the board, who has the most of what. That's when it kind of pretty much comes down to. So I like the game. If you can find it, cool. I did find this. It was actually sealed, so it was brand new over at McKay's. So I got really lucky about it. I watched a couple videos on it. Matt Wilkins had it on his channel. Thank you, Matt. He sold me on it, and luckily I went back and got it. So I actually left it there. So luckily I came back, I think a day or two later, and it was still there. I was like, yes! So I went ahead and I picked it up. So thank you, Matt, for your wonderful episode that sold me on this game. So cool little game. If you can find it, get it. I recommend you get it. Not for too much, though. I think I might have got this for 10. I think they had it for 10. And probably maybe no more than that, I would think, for this game. But, you know, if it's 15 and if it's a game you think you really like, obviously you want to get it. So I like the way it looks. It's pretty cool. I like the clock aspect of it. I think it's pretty awesome. So let me know what your thoughts are of the game. If you have the game, if you've played it, or maybe you haven't played it. Maybe you never even heard of it. Maybe you've wanted it. I don't know. But hopefully this episode helped you on deciding whether you want to get it, or maybe it's not your cup of tea. Maybe you don't want to get it. Maybe I helped you out in that too. So that's always helpful as well. Sometimes I always think I want to get a game. I watch a couple people do an episode on it. I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't get it. So I hope that's not the case with this, because I think it's actually a pretty cool little game. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. As always, I recommend you leaving a comment down below about the game, what you think about it, what you think about the episode. Hopefully I did a good job explaining it. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate your support. And as always, happy gaming.